Right now, somewhere over the Atlantic, there's a suitcase traveling faster than most cars on a highway, and the person who owns it has absolutely no idea where it is. They checked it in 3 hours ago, watched it disappear on a conveyor belt, and now they're sitting in seat 23A eating pretzels, just hoping it shows up on the other side. That's a weird relationship when you think about it. We trust a system we've never seen with everything from our clothes to our wedding photos, and most of us have never questioned what actually happens back there. Here's something that might surprise you. Your bag doesn't just roll onto the plane. Between that check-in counter and the cargo hold, your luggage goes through a journey that involves more technology, more people, and more split-second decisions than you'd ever imagine. On average, a major international airport like London Heathrow or Atlanta Hartsfield-Jackson handles around 200,000 bags every single day. That's roughly 140 bags every minute during peak hours, each one needing to get sorted, screened, and loaded onto the correct aircraft, often with connection times as tight as 45 minutes. The room for error is microscopic, and yet, most of the time, it works. So, what's really going on down there? How does a bag checked in at Terminal 2, Gate C, end up in the belly of a plane at Terminal 5, Gate A, without someone physically carrying it the entire way? The answer is part mechanical marvel, part choreographed chaos, and part old-fashioned human intuition. Let's follow one bag through the system and see what happens when you lose sight of it. The moment your bag drops onto that scale at check-in, something starts that you never see. The agent scanning your boarding pass isn't just confirming your seat. They're creating a digital identity for your luggage. That barcode sticker wrapped around your bag's handle contains a shocking amount of information. Your flight number, destination, connecting flights if you have them, the aircraft type, the weight class of your bag, and a unique 10-digit identifier that will follow this piece of luggage through every scanner, every conveyor turn, and every checkpoint until it reaches baggage claim. This number is the bag's passport, and without it, your suitcase is just an anonymous box in a sea of anonymous boxes. Once the bag slides down that initial chute behind the check-in desk, it enters what's called the Baggage Handling System, or BHS. Think of this as an underground city designed exclusively for luggage. At a large hub airport, the BHS can stretch for miles, literally miles, with conveyor belts snaking beneath terminals, under runways, through service tunnels that most passengers will never know exist. Heathrow's Terminal 5, for example, has a baggage system that spans over 11 miles of conveyor belts moving at speeds between 15 and 20 miles per hour. Your bag isn't just sitting on a slow-moving walkway, it's racing through this subterranean maze at the speed of a casual jog. But here's where it gets interesting. The system doesn't just move bags, it reads them. Every few hundred feet, there's a scanner positioned above or beside the conveyor. These scanners use laser technology to read that barcode on your bag dozens of times during its journey, constantly updating the system about the bag's location. If your bag is supposed to go to Gate A42 and it's currently passing scanner junction 7B, the system knows it needs to make 3 more turns and travel another 1,200 feet. The computer running all of this is making thousands of routing decisions per minute, directing bags left or right at junction points using mechanical arms called diverters. These diverters pop up from the belt in a fraction of a second, physically shoving your bag onto a different track based on where it needs to go. This is where the first potential problem shows up. If that barcode gets damaged, crumpled, or covered by a sticker from your last trip, the scanner can't read it. When that happens, your bag becomes what's called a no-read. No-reads get automatically diverted to a manual coding station, which is exactly what it sounds like. A room where actual humans are standing at computer terminals, physically looking at bags as they arrive on a conveyor, reading the destination tags with their own eyes, and manually typing in the information so the bag can rejoin the automated system. At a busy airport, these coding stations might process 5,000 to 8,000 bags per day. It's not glamorous work, but it's essential because every no-read that doesn't get manually coded becomes a mishandled bag. Now, assuming your bag's barcode is clean and scannable, it's moving through the system toward its next stop, security screening. You went through security yourself, took off your shoes, pulled out your laptop, the whole routine. Your bag goes through something arguably more intense. The Transportation Security Administration in the United States and equivalent agencies worldwide require that every single checked bag be screened for explosives and prohibited items. This happens in one of two ways, depending on the airport's setup. Most modern airports use inline screening, meaning the explosive detection systems are built directly into the baggage handling conveyor system. As your bag races along the belt, it passes through a machine that looks like an enormous CT scanner, because that's essentially what it is. These machines, officially called Explosive Detection Systems, or EDS, take hundreds of X-ray images of your bag from multiple angles, building a three-dimensional picture of everything inside. Advanced algorithms analyze the density, shape, and atomic composition of objects in your bag, looking for anything that matches the signature of an explosive material. This entire process takes about 6 seconds per bag. 6 seconds for a computer to look inside your suitcase, identify your shoes, your toiletries, your laptop, your charging cables, and determine that none of it is dangerous. But obviously, computers aren't perfect. Sometimes the algorithm flags something suspicious, maybe a dense object it can't identify, or an organic material packed in an unusual way. When that happens, the bag gets automatically diverted to a secondary screening area. Here, TSA officers manually inspect the bag, either running it through an additional scanner or physically opening it to examine the contents. If you've ever arrived at your destination and found a little notice inside your suitcase saying your bag has been inspected, this is why. The system flagged something. A human checked it, confirmed it was harmless, and then sent your bag back into the system to continue its journey. According to TSA statistics, roughly 5 to 8% of all checked bags get pulled for secondary screening. With millions of bags moving through airports daily, that's a lot of suitcases being opened and inspected. Older airports, or smaller regional ones that haven't upgraded to inline systems, use a different approach. Bags get diverted off the main conveyor system to a centralized screening room, where they're manually loaded onto standalone EDS machines. This is slower, requires more staff, and creates bottlenecks during busy travel periods, which is one reason why airports are constantly upgrading their systems. Denver International Airport, for instance, spent over $500 million upgrading to a fully automated inline screening system because the old manual process couldn't keep up with passenger volume. The difference in efficiency is staggering. An inline system can process 1,800 bags per hour per machine, while manual screening tops out at around 300 bags per hour. Once your bag clears security, it continues its underground journey toward the gate, but it doesn't go directly to your plane. Instead, it goes to what's called the bag room or sortation area for that specific flight. Every flight departing from an airport has a designated space where its bags accumulate before being loaded. This is crucial because planes don't board luggage one bag at a time as passengers check in. Instead, bags are held in this staging area until the aircraft is ready for loading, which usually happens about 90 minutes before departure. During this waiting period, your bag is sitting on a conveyor carousel, slowly circling with dozens or hundreds of other bags, all heading to the same place you are. This is also when bags for connecting passengers create complications. Let's say you're flying from Boston to Frankfurt with a connection in Newark. You check your bag in Boston, and the system knows it needs to end up on the Frankfurt flight. But if your connection time in Newark is tight, maybe just an hour, your bag is cutting it close. The system has to route your bag off the Boston flight's carousel through Newark's transfer system, past security screening again because it's entering a new secure area, and onto the Frankfurt flight's carousel, all while you're walking from gate B31 to gate C18 eating a sandwich. Bags on tight connections get priority routing, flagged in the system so they're diverted to faster conveyor lanes and processed ahead of bags with more time. Even with this priority handling, bags miss connections. It happens thousands of times per day across the global air network. Your bag doesn't run as fast as you do. Now we get to the part that actually involves the aircraft: loading. About 90 minutes before your flight's scheduled departure, a team of ramp agents arrives at the bag room for your flight. These are the people you sometimes see from your plane window, wearing reflective vests and earplugs, working around the aircraft on the tarmac. Their job is to load every single bag from that staging area into the cargo hold of your plane, and they have to do it in a specific way. Aircraft cargo holds aren't just empty spaces where you throw luggage randomly. They're carefully designed compartments with weight and balance restrictions that directly affect how the plane flies. Here's something most passengers never consider. The distribution of weight on an airplane is critical. If too much weight is loaded toward the front, the nose of the plane sits too low and it affects takeoff performance. Too much weight in the back and the tail sits low, which also creates problems. Airlines use sophisticated software called load planning systems that calculate exactly how many bags can go in each cargo compartment and where heavy items should be positioned to maintain the aircraft's center of gravity within safe limits. Before a single bag is loaded, the load planner has already created a detailed map showing which cargo bin gets how many bags, and the ramp agents follow this plan precisely. Bags don't just get tossed into the cargo hold loose. On most modern aircraft, they're loaded into containers called unit load devices, or ULDs. These are metal or composite frames, some shaped like giant rectangular boxes, others with sloped edges to fit the curved shape of an aircraft fuselage. Ramp agents stack bags into these containers on the tarmac, maximizing space while keeping weight balanced. And then the entire container gets loaded into the plane using a cargo loader, which is essentially a truck with a scissor lift that raises the container up to the cargo door height. The container slides into the cargo bay on a roller system, locks into place, and the door closes. On a wide-body aircraft like a Boeing 777 or Airbus A350, the cargo hold might contain 30 to 40 of these containers plus loose bags in the bulk cargo area, representing several hundred pieces of luggage. Smaller aircraft, particularly narrow-body planes, like the Boeing 737 or Airbus A32, that handle most domestic flights, don't use containers. Instead, ramp agents load bags directly into the cargo hold through a small door at the side of the aircraft, building what's essentially a three-dimensional jigsaw puzzle of suitcases. This is physically demanding work. Bags can weigh up to 50 pounds. And during a typical shift, a ramp agent might load and unload 2,000 to 3,000 pounds of luggage across multiple flights. They're working in all weather conditions: rain, snow, extreme heat, often with aircraft engines running on nearby planes, creating constant noise and jet exhaust fumes. It's not a job that gets much attention, but it's absolutely essential to the system functioning. Loading isn't just about fitting bags into available space. There's also the issue of priority baggage. If you're a first-class passenger or an elite frequent flyer with status, or you paid extra for priority baggage handling, your bag gets loaded last. This seems counterintuitive until you understand how unloading works. Bags loaded last come off first. So when the plane lands and ramp agents start pulling bags out of the cargo hold, those priority bags are right at the front. First onto the baggage cart, first into the terminal, first onto the baggage carousel. This is why elite passengers often get their luggage within minutes of reaching baggage claim while everyone else waits. It's not magic, it's just strategic loading. Once every bag is loaded, the cargo doors close, the load planner confirms the final weight and balance calculations with the pilots, and the aircraft is ready to push back from the gate. At this point, your bag is secured in a cargo hold that's pressurized and temperature controlled just like the passenger cabin. A lot of people think the cargo hold is freezing or unpressurized, but that's a myth. On modern commercial aircraft, the cargo hold maintains a temperature between 45 and 65 degrees Fahrenheit, and it's pressurized to the same level as the cabin above. This is partly for passenger comfort. You don't want the floor of the cabin freezing cold, and partly because many cargo holds also carry live animals in kennel crates. Those pets are breathing the same air you are, just a few feet below your seat. The flight itself is the one part of the journey where your bag is truly just along for the ride. It's sitting in darkness, surrounded by hundreds of other bags, experiencing the same turbulence you feel, the same changes in altitude, the same engine vibrations. But it's not doing anything and nothing is being done to it. This is the quiet part of the journey. Then the plane lands, and the entire process reverses. As soon as the aircraft reaches its gate and the engines shut down, ramp agents are already positioning equipment to open the cargo doors. On international flights arriving at a U.S. airport, there's an additional step: agriculture inspection. U.S. Customs and Border Protection has agents who specifically check baggage from certain countries for prohibited agricultural items, fruits, plants, soil, anything that could carry invasive pests or diseases into the country. This usually happens as bags are being unloaded from the aircraft, with agents scanning or spot-checking bags before they enter the terminal building. It adds a few minutes to the process, but it's a critical line of defense against agricultural threats. Unloading follows a specific sequence. Priority bags come off first, followed by bags for passengers who don't have onward connections, and finally bags for passengers connecting to other flights. These connecting bags don't go to baggage claim at all. Instead, they're loaded onto transfer carts and driven directly across the tarmac or through underground tunnels to the next flight's bag room, where they join bags being checked in locally for that flight. If your connection time is longer than a couple hours, your bag might sit in that staging area for a while, which is completely normal. The system is designed to get bags to their final destination, not to rush them through intermediate stops. For bags ending their journey at this airport, the process is straightforward. They're unloaded from the aircraft, placed onto baggage carts. These are the long-wheeled carts that look like trains of luggage, and driven from the aircraft parking position to the terminal building. At the terminal, bags are unloaded from the cart onto a conveyor belt that feeds directly into the baggage carousel you're standing around waiting at. The carousel is just a loop of conveyor belt, usually oval or racetrack shaped, that brings bags up from below the terminal floor, displays them to passengers, and, if not claimed, sends them back down to loop around again. Here's where human error often appears. Passengers grab the wrong bag off the carousel more often than you'd think. Two black rolling suitcases look identical from 10 feet away, and if you're tired after a long flight, you might grab one without checking the tag. This is why those unique luggage tags, bright straps, or distinctive stickers people put on their bags actually serve a functional purpose. They're visual identifiers that help you spot your bag faster and reduce the chance of someone else accidentally taking it. Airports report thousands of bag swap incidents annually, where a passenger realizes they took the wrong black suitcase only after getting home. But what happens when your bag truly goes missing? When the system fails and your bag ends up somewhere it shouldn't be? This is more complex than it seems. Airlines categorize baggage problems into several types. Delayed bags, which missed a connection but are still in the system and will catch up on the next flight. Misdirected bags, which were routed to the wrong destination entirely. and damaged bags, which arrived but are broken or torn. Truly lost bags, where the airline has no idea where the bag is and can't find it even after extensive searching, are actually quite rare, representing less than 3% of all mishandled baggage. When you report a missing bag at the airline's baggage service office, usually located near baggage claim, the agent enters your information into a global baggage tracking system called World Tracer. This database is shared by virtually every airline in the world and tracks missing bags using that 10-digit identifier from your original barcode tag. If your bag was misdirected to Chicago instead of Charlotte, it'll get scanned when it arrives in Chicago. The system will recognize the error, and the bag will automatically get rerouted on the next available flight to Charlotte. Most delayed bags are reunited with their owners within 24 to 48 hours. The airline will usually deliver the bag directly to your hotel or home address once it arrives, which is far more convenient than having you return to the airport. The statistics on baggage handling are actually impressive when you consider the complexity involved. According to CETA, an air transport communications company that tracks these metrics globally, airlines worldwide mishandled approximately 4.35 bags per thousand passengers in 2023. That means 99.565% of bags arrived at their destination with their owner, on time, intact. With billions of passengers flying each year, that's billions of bags successfully navigating this underground system of conveyors, scanners, human handlers, and aircraft cargo holds. The fact that the success rate is above 99.5% despite all the potential failure points is actually remarkable. But that statistic also means millions of bags are still mishandled annually. For context, if an airport handles 100,000 passengers per day, which is typical for a major hub, that's roughly 435 bags per day that don't arrive as expected. Over a year, that's nearly 159,000 bags at just one airport. Multiply that across hundreds of major airports globally, and you get a sense of the scale. Airlines spend enormous amounts of money on baggage handling infrastructure and staffing specifically to drive that error rate as low as possible. Because every mishandled bag costs them money in compensation, delivery fees, and customer dissatisfaction. Technology is pushing that error rate even lower. Radio frequency identification, or RFID, is replacing barcode tags at many airlines. Instead of a printed barcode that must be optically scanned, RFID tags contain a tiny chip that broadcasts the bag's information wirelessly. Scanners positioned along the conveyor system can read RFID tags from several feet away, even if the tag is facing the wrong direction or partially obscured. This dramatically reduces no-read rates and gives airlines better real-time tracking data. Delta Airlines, for example, implemented RFID tracking across its entire network and reported a 99.9% success rate in knowing exactly where every bag is at every point in its journey. You can actually watch your bag's progress on your phone through the airline's app, seeing when it's been loaded onto the aircraft, when it's arrived at your destination, and when it's about to appear on the carousel. Some airlines are experimenting with even more advanced tracking. Lufthansa tested a system where bags have GPS trackers embedded in the luggage tags, allowing passengers to see their bag's location on a map just like tracking a package. The challenge with GPS is battery life and cost. GPS units need power. And airlines handle so many bags that adding even $1 per tag becomes prohibitively expensive. But as technology gets cheaper, widespread GPS tracking of luggage might become standard within the next decade. There's also a human element that technology can't fully replace. Experienced ramp agents develop an almost intuitive sense for problem bags. A bag that looks suspiciously heavy might be overweight and cause loading issues. A bag with an unusual shape might contain something fragile that needs special handling. A bag covered in stickers from 47 different airports probably belongs to a frequent traveler who'll be furious if it gets delayed. These little observations, combined with years of experience, allow skilled ramp agents to make judgment calls that a computer system can't. Positioning certain bags more carefully, flagging potential problems before they occur, or expediting specific bags they know are on tight connections. The relationship between passengers and their luggage is fundamentally one of trust. You hand over a bag containing items that might be irreplaceable: wedding attire, medication, business documents, sentimental objects, and you trust that a system you've never seen, operated by people you'll never meet, will deliver it safely to wherever you're going. That trust is built on decades of infrastructure investment, technological advancement, process refinement, and the daily work of thousands of people behind the scenes. From the agent who types your bag tag at check-in, to the TSA officer reviewing scanner images, to the ramp agent loading it into the cargo hold, to the baggage handler placing it on the carousel, each person in this chain is handling your property with the implicit understanding that it matters to you. And most of the time, it works beautifully. Your bag drops onto a conveyor belt, disappears behind a rubber curtain, and 15 hours later, it's sitting at baggage claim in a city 5,000 miles away, completely unharmed. The journey it took to get there involved miles of conveyors, dozens of scanners, multiple security checks, careful loading onto an aircraft, a flight through the stratosphere, unloading, and delivery to the exact carousel you're standing at. The whole process is so routine that we barely think about it. But next time you watch your bag disappear at check-in, remember, it's about to go on a journey more complex than you'd ever imagine. And the fact that you'll probably see it again at your destination is a small miracle of logistics, technology, and human coordination working exactly as it should.